Greetings, happy Wednesday. I hope everyone has been having an amazing week. I hope last week was transformative in all of the best ways. Now, before we get into the reading for this week, I want to just talk a little bit about last week for me. If you all had any similar experiences or if you had any experiences, period, that you would like to share, definitely drop a comment or you can email me. My contact information is down in the description below. So last week, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail because it's going to be a conversation later on once I have completely moved through this process. But I started off the beginning of last week with what could only be called the Tower Card. It took me completely kind of out of my element for a minute. And it brought up a lot of fear. And at the same time, what I realized, as we moved through the past week, was that I was really being challenged to ground myself, my emotions, and my mind. And it was like, that was a huge thing. It was like, don't let your mind and your emotions run away because you need to be in control right now. You need to be in a grounded space so that you can think and you can move accordingly and you can do what's needed to be done and connect to spirit at the same time, so that you can hear the messages and also just to receive the support and the love and the groundedness. Because when I tell you, when the week started off, I had no idea what my life was going to look like by the end of the week. It was that major of a situation, and what it ended up being, what it has transformed into, and it is still transforming. Thank God. But it ended up being the most amazing dream come true kind of blessing. And I don't even know how it all came to be, which is how I know that spirit had their hand in this. And so one of the things that I want to talk about is, we are all going through different times, whether we consider them to be difficult times, whether it's just, times that are calling for a lot of your energy, a lot of your attention, or just causing you to have to move really mindfully, right? We're all feeling the pressure in whatever kind of way. The world itself is going through a grand transformation. And with all of the changes that are happening, it is going to be extraordinarily important that we ground our minds, that we ground our emotions, because we cannot allow those things to run away. Now, those things are not negative. Sometimes you'll hear people say, you don't have time for emotions. You need to be in your logical mind so that you can do this, that, and a third. But the thing that happens is when you only sit in your logical mind, you disconnect from spirit, because spirit doesn't work in logic. Spirit can use logic to communicate with you, but spirit happens outside of the walls of the square box that logic that logic can sit in sometimes. And so if you are not allowing yourself to be in a balanced space where, you are accepting how you're feeling, you're accepting, the thoughts that are coming, and yet at the same time, you are refining them. You are allowing anything that's coming from a wounded space or a space that's just not grounded to be healed or to be shifted. But really being in a self-accepting kind of space, because that is the only way that you're really going to be able to tap into the control that's necessary emotionally and mentally to move through without unnecessary bumps and bruises. And when you can do that, when you can connect to spirit while also using the logical mind, and you compare both of those things together, what happens is magical. What happens is space for miracles to take place. And so if you're going through something right now, and whatever, wherever it is on the scale of good to bad, or however it is that you perceive it, take some time to really ground yourself. Get your emotions and your mind in check. Do the things you need to do to open up, to be willing to accept how you're feeling and what's coming up. And then tell yourself that regardless to what's going on right now, you're going to meet this goal, whatever that goal is, whatever the thing is, you're going to do it. And you're going to do it and you're going to be joyful. And so it doesn't matter how hard it is. You need to work harder to find the spaces where joy is, especially when you're feeling pressure that causes you to just naturally not move in a joyful space. Find that joyful space anyway. Right? If you need to break up the energy of fear and worry with music and dance and song, you do that. But in every place that threatens your peace, you insert joy. And let's just see what happens, right? I've been working on it. I'm doing it. I don't want to say I've done it because it's still a work in progress. I'm still learning to master that space. But I can say from an honest space that this past week has taught me that miracles and magic happens when you allow for joy to be in a space and light to be in a space that could have been perceived as darkness, that could have been perceived as your literal world falling apart. What happens next is going to blow your mind. So if you're going through something, if you're moving through something, trust yourself. Trust that anything that you're feeling is only there to make you better, to make you stronger. You just have to be grounded enough to know what to do with those things and to trust that everything that is needed will come. Okay. All right. So I want to go ahead and get into the reading for this week. Now, it is Wednesday, so we're going to talk about what messages, what lessons we took away from the beginning of the week. And the card that has come up is Dancer 3, Jubilance. Now, this energy is all about flow and being in that creative energy. And to be in that space, you have to have a certain groundedness in your emotions and in your mind, right? So this past week is preparing us for the energies that we're coming into or that we've come into this week. And so the beginning of this week, you may find yourself doing some creative things, doing some out of the box things, and celebrating, really, really celebrating and celebrating in ways that it feels like, people are not going to expect. People are not going to have seen coming. It's like they're dancing over the water during a full moon in the middle of the night. There is a beautiful magic to what is occurring for them. There is a trust and a faith that's present. They are dancing on the water. They're not sinking in the water. They're not trying to figure out how they're going to swim across. They're dancing across the water. And that takes an unbelievable amount of faith. And so the beginning of this week is going to call or has called on your faith, your trust, your ability to move in a balanced space so that you can get the messages that you need to get, so that you know when to celebrate, when you know when something is really worth that celebration. Okay. I'm also feeling something around value. So whether they are financial value or whether we are talking about, your values, your personal values, what you hold as important, right? It feels like those are going to be things that are expanding, that are experiencing confirmation this week. And that's the energy that we start off with. So expect there to be magic and magical things that take place this week that are a direct result of your faith, that are a direct result of your ability to ground yourself in your emotions, in your thoughts, and move on that faith with wisdom. So we are going to go ahead and move into the middle portion of the week. We have the Hermit. And then I also pulled Dreamer 7, A Coward Betrays. Now, this feels as though, it's going to be important during the middle of the week to not allow yourself to give in to fear, right? It feels like, a lot of us are going to be kind of taking a chunk out of this magical blessing that is being handed to us. And sometimes even when it's amazing things, just imagine if it's a magical burger. This burger is amazing, right? But you still got to chew it. You still have to digest it. It's still something to do something with, right? And so don't allow this moment, because everything is so amazing, or everything is just coming together, or you see the pieces coming together, you see how they can come together. Don't allow your fear to get in the way and tell you that it's not possible, or that it can't happen, or that it won't happen. Don't allow people to be in your space if they can't support this, because this is kind of like when a woman is pregnant, and she has to be mindful of the energies around her and what she's doing, what she's eating, and all of these things, because all of these things are going to directly impact the baby. And so think of it that same exact way. Everything that you are putting into yourself or allowing to be within your space is going to impact you. And so it's going to impact the manifestations that come through you. So make sure that you all are not allowing yourself to fall away into fear, right? Fear comes up and it's natural. We feel it. It's just something in our minds and our brains that says, hey, I don't know. This is new. This is different. Maybe it's a warning, right? But it's nothing to hold on to and not let go of, right? If it's a warning, get the warning and move accordingly. If it's something that's new, okay, embrace the new. Take that leap of faith and do what you're being guided to do. Trust, right? Now the Hermit card, it really feels like this is about, that internal reflection, spending the time that you need with yourself, so that, because the feeling that I feel is gratitude. It really isn't even about like you have to contemplate something. Really, it is more about you being in a space where you can find gratitude. And it's interesting because when I was little, every time I would go to bed, before I ever did a prayer or ask God for anything or anything like that, I would always first give my gratitude. I give my gratitude to my ancestors. I give my gratitude to any and everything that I could think of. And then I would pray. I'd pray for my family. I'd pray for, whatever it is. And I always found that whenever I did it that way, beautiful things happened afterwards. And so there is a power in that gratitude. There is a power in you being able to really see the blessings that are around you, to be willing or to be in a space where you can acknowledge and recognize what's really in front of you. And when you can really recognize the jewels and the power that is in front of you, then you're open and you're ready for the next steps. You're open and ready to create, because we never stop creating. But sometimes we can get lost in the muddiness of what's being created because we don't really see what's being created. We aren't acknowledging it. We aren't acknowledging all the parties that came together to make it happen. Right? We never do anything by ourselves. I mean, even in this Hermit card, they're traveling, they are, going to this space, and maybe it seems like solitude, but maybe it's not. Maybe this journey is just time for you to acknowledge self, for you to acknowledge ancestors, for you to acknowledge all that has paved the way for you. Right. And at the same time, the person's not alone. She has a guide. She has an elder that is with her, that is guiding her and showing her the way. And so sometimes it takes us getting into these quiet spaces and acknowledging all the spaces that support us, that love us, that give to us, for us to know the direction that comes next, to know the next steps. So make sure that you're taking the time to really do that. You're not allowing fear to overtake you. And, just as a testament to this morning, I woke up and I had to move forward with the next steps from what happened at the beginning of this week. And when I woke up and we started to get into what was needed, I just started getting so overwhelmed. I was literally feeling like I was vibrating in this energy, and I had to take a break. I had to clear my mind and do something else. And so I went to balance it by getting creative and allowing myself to just go into that space. And when I came back to continue to work on, what I've been working on, I came back renewed and I was excited and I was hearing the messages and I was feeling it. And so that's what's needed. Okay. So now the end of the week, we are looking at the Emperor, gift of reason, and then the make a wish card. Okay. And this feels like, the Emperor talks about structural stuff and, that patriarchal kind of energy. But a lot of times, what I feel with this card and what's coming up now is those foundations, right? There's transformation and change and shifting that's happening in the foundations. This can be both powerful and it can be negative, but it depends on the energy that you're moving with. Are you grounded? Are you centered? Are you balanced, right? Are you taking the time that you need to get grateful, to get joyful, to get excited? Right? Because that is what's driving this, right? If it starts looking crazy at the end of the week, you know what you've been doing prior to, right? But if you've been doing what you need to do to the best of your ability, nobody has to be perfect, right? But if in your intention and everything that you do, you are moving in a space that says, okay, I'm going to stay connected to myself. I'm going to get grounded when I need to get grounded. I'm going to shift and do what I need to do so that I can harness this power and harness this energy to manifest the opportunities and the open doors that I've been waiting for, that I've been looking for. When you're in that space, expect it to be beautiful, right? Now I also feel like towards the end of the week, we're going to find that there's something that we already have, something of value that we already have that we did not realize that we had. And that's going to be a really powerful tool, feels like over the next 3 weeks. So really pay attention to that. It feels like, there may be a question of not knowing exactly what to do with it when you find it, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You're going to have everything that you need. Just be open to the possibilities of what you can do with that thing. And then the clarity is going to begin to come to you. You're going to meet people, you're going to find different spaces and things that allow you to gain the clarity that you need, the backing and the support that you need. I'm just kind of looking at the card and, you know, she's sitting on these books, right? And it's books that she probably knows these books backwards and forwards. And she's looking at this, what could be a mask. And she's in like this contemplative thought, but she's not looking at it in disgust, but it feels like she is really looking to see what this thing is. So make sure you get curious. Make sure you get curious as to what it is that is coming to you, because it is something that you have. It's something that you've had. Like, she has these books. She knows these books backwards and forwards. Right, but there's something different. There's something new about it that's going to take her further than she expected to go. And it feels like it might be in a slightly unexpected direction, too. So that's good news. Now we have the Dancer 9, Make a Wish. Okay, and it feels like it is definitely related to this Gift of Reason card. So when you get this thing, begin to set your intention, right? Because this new energy is coming up, and so now it's going to need direction. Don't try to control it, but just give it intention. Put your energy into it so that as you move forward, that energy knows how to serve you, right? And you are in a space where you're recognizing how it's coming up for you later on, because you know the spaces that you have intended for it to go. Now, be expecting it to show up in other ways as well, because it never just shows up in one way, but you will see the signs based on the intention that you set. Okay. And again, this is transformative. So you have the Dancer 9. That 9 is that graduation into that next period. And so many of us are going to be completing things this week and finding that next part to whatever it is that we're doing. So it looks really, really beautiful. Again, stay grounded. Make sure that you're doing the work to center yourself and really getting in a space of gratitude, and allow yourself to dream, right? We don't do that enough too often. We shove it away because we don't have time. We're too tired. We have other things to do, and it's just not, whatever. But it is important that we dream, because when we dream, we are allowing life to flow through us, life that can then create new and more things. So take this time, allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to relax and really feel your vision, really feel your intention, and watch the magic that comes from it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this reading out here. Thank you all for listening. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow. Again, if you have any comments or questions, anything like that, my contact information is down below. I'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to talking again next week. Bye.